Last season, it was J.R. Shepard who made history. He made himself stand out as Mr. BRL after securing his 50th sanctioned body title in his career. But with the new season brings a new chance for drivers to build onto their legacies or create their own. Will J.R. Shepard add onto his totals, or will we see a new face enter the championship discussions? We're about to find out on the Global SimRacing Channel. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway for the first race of Season 6 of the Bootleg Racing League's Grand National Series. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth tonight is Devin Henry. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. A lot of big names made their names here in Nashville over the course of their racing careers. Let's find out more about tonight's facility with your GSRC track guide.
The Waltrips, the Marlins, Bobby Hamilton, Jeremy Mayfield, legendary names in the world of NASCAR. And they have one thing in common. They spent a good part of their early careers here at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, a track that recently took over the title of longest continuing operating facility in the U.S. from Milwaukee. Cup cars raced here until 1984, B-Class and trucks both left after 2000. This facility may have opened in 1904 at the beginnings of the track we know of today in 1958, but with modernization, it's on its way up. While many consider Nashville to be a half mile, it's actually a bit longer. It's just shy of 0.6 of a mile in length. From the top down, it looks like a traditional oval, and there isn't a whole lot of difference between the four 18-degree banked corners, at least on that map. But where the character comes in is the bumps. This track hasn't been repaved since 1996, and it shows. But we could go over where all the bumps are, but they only give me about 2 minutes here. But navigating those is the key to a good lap. The All-American 400, one of the premier super late model races in the country, runs here yearly. ARCA has been making stops here again as well, and they have a huge slate of local racing here with street stocks, modifieds, trucks, and even Legends cars. And they are all vying to be that next Darrell Waltrip for Sterling Marlin, as Legends are made right here at Nashville's Fairgrounds Speedway.
That was a look at your GSRC track guide for Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Now let's bring my broadcast partner for tonight, Devin Henry, as these drivers get ready for what should be a fun one tonight, a very fun circuit. Your expectations for these cars here at this track tonight?
Yeah, this guy is just fun to drive. It's a little bit fast. It's a little bit free. A loose car, certainly a fast car once we get late in these runs. A lot of fun on those 18 degrees of banking. I call it a 3/5 mile. I don't know if that's legal. Everyone always tells me it's either 6/10 or it's a large half mile, so I get in trouble calling it a 3/5, but that's what it is here in Nashville, Tennessee. And a lot of throttle. You like to use the throttle on fresh tires. These guys will maintain over 90 miles per hour in the corners and only go up about another 30, 40 miles per hour on the straightaway. So this guy, it drives like a short track, but it still almost feels like an intermediate.
Quick question. Did you just say 6/10? Because technically the fraction for 6/10 is
3/5.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get in trouble for that. People say, no, it's 6/10. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, okay.
Okay. On that note, an interesting circuit tonight, to say the very least, with the 18 degrees of banking tonight here at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway for what's expected to be a fun one, to emphasize that. But last season was a fun championship. For those who missed that championship, it was J.R. Shepard who took home his 50th overall championship in BRL competition. That was after a full sweep of the street stocks, the tour modifieds, and the Grand National Series. That's by 7 points over Kenny Kibbe, Justin Morton, James Lowe, Austin Belke rounded out the top 5. Now, this year is expected to be different, though, because as J.R. Shepard mentioned at the end of his last interview for last season, there is the chance of missed races throughout the campaign, including a vacation for tonight. Personal vacation on that mark. But for that mark, it's time to take a look at your race details as we get ready for a brand new campaign.
It's all fresh. Everyone's tied at 0 points apiece. Remember, every short track, 100 laps here at Nashville tonight, as it is almost every single race. but you have to make sure that you take those tires from lap 1 all the way to lap 100. No tire changes allowed, only one fat spare given to you to fix up that car. And of course, how we start tonight's grid, it does not come from qualifying. It comes from last week's championship race. You start where you finished last week, or the top 8 from last week get inverted at the front of the field. So those guys who ran well in the championship race, they're going to be starting about mid-pack tonight.
It's going to be an interesting race, to say the very least, here in the Global Sim Racing Channel, as our drivers are currently having about 5 minutes left to go in final practice, and it shouldn't be surprised that James Lowe, the winner of the modified race earlier tonight with 66 of 80 laps led, is at the top of the board by a full tenth of a second with the 19.139. Mark Herzog, Jeffrey Harden, Jason Menda, Steven Spies is your top 5. Now, it should be worth noting, though, that Ryan Seneker, who is next on the board in practice, is under a warning after over-aggressive racing for going too quick into a corner and spinning an air driver very early in the last race of last season. So Seneker has to be on his best behavior. He is 6th in this practice so far.
And you look across the practice boards right now, James Lowe has to be the favorite coming into tonight. None of the championship competitors from last year, J.R. Shepard, Justin Morton, Kenny Kibbe tonight. So for James, this is looking like his race to lose. He has the second most wins in BRL Grand National Series history. And tonight is the night where maybe he can kind of get back up. We've seen him have a lot of momentum. We've seen him have seasons where he kind of lost out on that momentum. Last season only picked up 1 victory. You would love to see this 99 car really just pounce on the field here tonight and try to get himself ahead of everyone in the points after race number 1, especially with no J.R. Shepard.
Take a look at some of the air cars. Keep in mind in the field, a new paint scheme with some different colors for the California Sim Club machine. For Jeffrey Harden, 3rd best in practice, as talked about. A different look for Kurt Smith, going with one of the retro Mark Martin paint schemes as well. And the number 6 machine you'll see as tonight goes on. There's also a bit of a different paint scheme for Joe Segawa with a new color scheme. He's 11th quickest. So some new looks for some of these drivers. The question is, Devin, who do you feel has the best shot to be a new winner, enjoying the 5 winners in series history?
That's the hope, right? Only 5 winners of the first 5 seasons of BRL Grand National history. And tonight looks like one of those nights. You're going to have to beat James Lowe, but we have seen the speed out of Mark Herzog on and off throughout last season, one of the newer faces last year. We see Steven Spies on the podium all the time on Friday nights in the dirt street stock, so that's another name to keep your eye out on. He has some really good performances in the Grand National cars. And another guy to watch out for is Austin Belke. Belke is a guy who has been fun to watch when he gets to start up front. He's done a much better job learning to pace himself at the start of races and keep that right front together, but he really needs a full race, put everything together, and I think that he can compete for a win. So those are a few names who might be able to become the 6th different winner in series history.
Drivers are still getting used to the track, keep in mind as well, after still 17.5 minutes. The track temperature 77 degrees with a fair bit of rubber buildup now from the amount of laps circulated around the racetrack. 73 degrees is the air temp. Partly cloudy skies, a bit windy as well to the south at about 6 miles an hour. In Sim Day is iRacing Day, May 15, 2021, just past 8 p.m. So we're racing under the lights here. So this track is already looking fairly greasy for some of these drivers in that they're having a hard time gripping up on the corner exits here, especially with the bumps.
Yeah, and this is a track that last year, it was about midway through the season, and it is a race that James Lowe went out and won that J.R. Shepard had problems with. And when I talked about Steven Spies, he finished 2nd in that race, coming from the 12th position. And when we had that race last season, 8 cautions for 38 laps. But the note that I find important is only 3 lead changes. Kenny Kibbe, Austin Belke, J.R. Shepard, James Lowe were the only drivers to lead laps. Belke started the race on the pole position. So if you want to be up front, who knows how many passes that there's going to be for the lead, but when you look at guys last season, James Lowe, Steven Spies, Brian Dean, Bruce Pearson, they started 5th, 12th, 15th, and 16th respectively. That was your top 4. So you can still come from the back, but if you have a sight at that lead, you need to go out and take it.
keep in mind tonight, following along with those trends you just mentioned with the minimal lead changes in the past here, how about every single lap being led by Austin Belke in the street stock race, all 40 for 40 with just one caution flag, one late caution flag in the modified race. As mentioned, the majority of the laps led by James Lowe. By lap 14, Austin Belke just so happened to finish second in that race as well. Real quickly, your predictions for how tonight's going to fare out for tonight's season opener.
Well, you look back at last season, a lot of the big names who raced last week aren't going to be back tonight, like JR, like Justin, like Kenny. And so those are a few spots in that top 8 invert that aren't going to be there. So some of the guys who did run up front last week and are here tonight, they're going to be further up to the front. So I think that you want to get to the lead as soon as possible and have a chance to control the tempo of the race. I think that's going to be a priority tonight, just because we know sometimes a guy will get out front in the past 2 races, for instance, tonight, and just never really relinquish it again. So you want to be up front and just have that opportunity. If you're running 5th all race, you're not going to have that opportunity.
The drivers are now looking for their opportunity to come away with the first checker flag of season number 6 of the Grand National Series for the BRL. The question is, how will tonight fare out? Let's find out as we are ready to grid here in Nashville. Ruben Ortiz will start on the pole tonight with Kurt Smith to the outside. Again, this is via the inversion from the last race of last season. Jason Menda, Mike Allen, the top 4. Bruce Pearson, Ryan Seneker, Lowell Jewell, Joseph Sagawa, your top 8 on one-star drivers. Todd List and Austin Belke round out your top 10 this evening.
Starting off in P11, Donnie Moore. Hey, last year's had a podium here at Nashville. Keep an eye on him. Jeffrey Harden starts in 12th. James Lowe did not race last week, so he has to start in the back of everyone who did start last week. Keep an eye out for these back three. James Lowe, Mark Herzog, Steven Spies. They're fast. They're going to come through the field here in your 15-car field at the Nashville Fairgrounds.
All the drivers lined up behind the iRacing sedan. Live timing and scoring is available at gsrc.tv to keep up with your favorite teams and drivers throughout the night. Once again, that's gsrc.tv. And as these drivers roll around for one more pace lap, your keys to victory for tonight here at the Nashville Fairgrounds.
Don't let the pace, don't let the speed fool you. Take care of that right front tire. You're going to need it at the end of this race, whether you're racing for 5th or racing for a win. Another thing that we have seen here sometimes is one wreck in the middle of the corner can be the equivalent of a big one, if you will. So try to stay out of other people's messes. Maybe even try to stick on that low line. If you're up high, there's a chance that wreck's going to go right up into you.
We'll see how tonight fares as all the drivers are set to go. 15 drivers ready to turn things loose for 100 laps. Ruben Ortiz ready to begin a brand new season of BRL competition in the Grand National Series. Our racing pace car is off. The green flag's out. We're underway from Nashville. Ruben Ortiz with a good start, already clearing himself off at turn 2. Kurt Smith already on the attack for the race lead.
Ortiz, a good jump there. Manager of housekeeping services at Ferrum College recently. Kurt Smith in that Mark Martin throwback. How about Jason Menda, able to start in the 3rd position, got a good jump himself, trying to hold off Mike Allen. A couple of veterans of this league, a couple of veterans of some great services for the United States of America as well.
Absolutely, Jason Menda you're on board with as he tries to wheel it from 3rd position. And holding on to that starting position for now. A bit of a different line you can take here for some. Some of them prefer to ride next to the yellow line. Some like to go up half a lane, as some drivers are spinning around in the lanes. Seneca and Sagawa around to the back of the field. Caution flag is out, and we're under yellow for the first time tonight.
Yeah, that's not the lane that I would select, actually, Justin. But this is an example of getting caught up in someone else's mess. You'll watch the bright white and blue number 61 of Ryan Seneker here first in the middle of your screen going down the straightaway. And he just kind of puts it in a little bit hot, a little bit of loose, kind of saves it, gets loose again, bounces off the 26. Nothing that Joe Segala could do there except for eat the damage, and he'll have to take down the pit road. Take a watch on board.
He was among the drivers on the top line battling side by side and looked like he picked the right lane until it wasn't the right lane.
Yeah, and that's just kind of how quick it happens. Yeah, this is the right lane. No one's here. I'm going to get a run off the back straight, and it's correct until someone has to turn their car right, and now with engine damage, he's going to have to eat a fast repair in the first 5 laps of this race. You hate to see that.
Lose them all to track position as well, back to 15th position, but all drivers will stay on the lead lap. Ryan Seneker did not come down and get repairs of note, though, on the 61. Now, keep in mind that it was talked about in the last race of last season that we are on the old damage model, the iRacing service. Currently, the new damage model being adjusted amongst these cars, so that will have a bit of an impact on some of the damage you see throughout tonight's action. And for many of the drivers, I've noticed if you scrape the cars in particular, the sheet metal really crinkles up around not just the damaged area of the car tonight under these lights, but around the entire race car.
Yeah, and that's where if you were running maybe an intermediate or especially super speedway, that kind of unnecessary damage, if you will, has a chance to slow you down because of the aerodynamics. Tonight, so long as your suspension stays intact for the most part, these cars are going extremely fast for a 6/10 mile, if you will. You're still going to need some of that sheet metal intact correctly, but typically you could run without the front bumper and be okay, so long as there's no suspension or engine damage with these cars.
I can hear a math teacher groaning, saying, "Why aren't you dividing your fractions, son?"
I agree. I got ragged on all 5th grade for that. I don't know if it's just the racer's way. Maybe he's out here on the West Coast. We just don't do math. I don't know.
1 to go, and your biggest movers, by the way, Speeds +4, Low +4, Moore and Liston are +3. The only air driver gaining positions, Mark Herzog up 2 positions. Green flag is back out. Bit more stacked up in the box as Kurt Smith had a hard time getting through the gears.
A good jump for Jason Menda, attacking on the low side of Kurt Smith. Menda, 25-year fire veteran behind him. Mike Allen behind him, excuse me. I thought Robbie was in this race for some reason, but nonetheless, the 45 there, able to get a little bit of speed off the corner, still door to door into 1.
Side by side as Menda slides up. Kurt Smith slides up to the wall just about, as Mike Allen taking nearly 3 wide right behind him. Sliding right on by him is Bruce Pearson. What a drive for Pearson so far. Able to keep track position early. Been very dicey, including now for the race lane as Mendes now side by side for the point.
How about that? Digging it into turn number 1. Throw that number 45 Havoline machine up to the point. Still on the right rear quarter panel. Teach trying to use that outside lane for momentum. Not going to work though on these fresh tires.
Turn 4, Lowell Jewell has spun around the boss man at the bottom of the racetrack. No caution flag. We stay green. Ryan Seneker was also involved where he had the stop. It was contact from James Lowe that spun around the 19. But everything has been crazy to start off tonight. This has been the craziest race of the night. Earliest caution flag of the night so far in either of the series, and it's now side by side for second.
Altice looks like he is in trouble here. He's going to get freight trained by that bottom line. Bruce Pearson, the green number 22, throwing his name into the hat here. Meanwhile, Altice is stuck on the outside. Mike Allen is stuck on the outside. I think Todd Liston voluntarily went there, and now Pearson falling off after getting loose in turn 4. All these guys chasing Jason Menda. I don't know if I like Menda just flying across the track right now. Might be using up too much right front this early in the race.
Lap times 3/10 quicker at the moment as Altice now has lost several positions. Todd Liston up 6 spots. Mike Allen. Well, Mike Allen looks like he's been to a bowling alley. The back end's crushed in, the side's crushed in. He's also bounced off a couple cars. He's now made the pass as well.
Damage model? What damage model? I need a damage model. I'm going to race for the podium right here. Mike Allen trying to use that inside line, rips around, and now this time by actually had the 3rd position. Meanwhile, we don't even see him anymore. Todd Liston. What a jump by him. He was bobbing and weaving through the field, and the 87 is now on the hunt to catch Jason Menda.
And Liston, we know, has had speed. He's shown speed plenty of times in this series, especially last year during the middle months of 2020. Do you think that momentum's starting to come back into play now for the 87?
Well, that's the thing. We have seen Todd have really, really good nights. We've also seen Todd get into trouble because of maybe just, I don't want to say over-aggressive driving, but he lays it all out there on the track whenever he races. So sometimes it doesn't even a matter of I think that he should calm down a little bit because I think he has the right mentality. Sometimes it just doesn't go his way. Him and Austin Belke are kind of the same way, being winless but still having the speed. They just need to put together that full race, and they can be in victory lane. The top 6 have never been in Bootleg Racing League Grand National Series victory lane in their careers, looking to become racer number 6 all-time to visit victory lane.
By the way, James Lowe has made his way up to 7th position, who is among those drivers who have found the way to victory lane. He's trying to find different lines in this battle for the third on back. You see him trying to get to the top line, for example, of Donnie Moore's machine. So things getting a bit tricky now for some of the veterans who have found their way to victory lane, since it can be tricky at times to pass here.
And for James Lowe, he is the only driver in the field to visit victory lane. It's essentially James Lowe versus the 14 other drivers on track. You know, everyone wants to be in a book alongside J.R. Shepard, James Lowe, Justin Morton, Bobby Rafferty, and Kenny Kibbe. And right now, Kurt Smith trying to fight back and take third back away from Mike Allen. He's another guy who we've seen him have speed, just not a full race put together.
Looking on board, this is from Altice, as now Mike Allen's lost the bottom of the racetrack. Mike Allen's car has continuously had to take some bumping and banging as talked about, but able to find a hole to the bottom of the racetrack. That thing still has some great speed, keep in mind. Still running in the 20.3s at the moment. The drivers, once they get to the bottom of the racetrack, running 20.1s in this pack.
I mean, that 59 has seen better days, but a finish on the podium, hey, that's a pretty great day, so I'm not really going to worry about that, right? Right now, LT's still trying to get something going right on the rear bumper of Mike Allen. Can't quite find the right way around. We saw the outside work in past season with BRL. The big difference, though, was that it was at sunset. The track was warmer. And, of course, there also wasn't different track property differences that we have in these recent builds. So the outside not quite working. It looked like James Lowe wanted to make it work, but instead he's just moved down to the bottom, and now he's making the pass for 6.
Yes, indeed, able to make the pass on Donnie Moore's newly Fonta number 26 machine. So able to make that run, and that's where I've seen drivers in the past utilize that middle line a little bit as a ramp for the banking. The tough part's going to be with 75 to go this upcoming time by, though, is the tire fall off. It's already reached for a majority of the pack 4 to 5/10 of a second. As now Lowe tried to attack Altice, forced him into a mistake instead.
Everyone fighting here in the 99, just staying on that yellow line to the center of the corner. Altice now jumping down to the bottom before the 99 can find that groove. Right now, Jason Menda and Todd Liston are absolutely gone. They're second in front of Kurt Smith, second and a half rather, who's a second in front of the rest of the field. The front still spread out. Lowe here, a great run off of 4. This is one of the primary drivers in that red 99 who has the ability to not only have speed but also conserve the tires. I'm worried about those top 3 outpacing themselves and outpacing that right front. That can come back to haunt you 50, 60 laps into the race, and there's still a lot of racing left to go after that.
We're now trying to pass by those ATVs on the side of that 11 machine, able to do so on the bottom of the racetrack. 73 to go. Lowe is one of the quickest drivers on the racetrack outside of your top 2 at the moment. And you have to think, well, yes, it's been difficult to get through this pack now, and finally gets to the lead part of the group to be able to make the move on Allen, yes, is Lowe. This also is the chance where if you haven't overexerted yourself, Devin, he might be able to save.
Exactly. I don't even know if you're in James Lowe's position, nearly 3.5 seconds behind your leader, if you even want to hunt him down. We are coming to complete lap 30 of 100. At this point, Todd Liston is caught up to your leader, Jason Menda. You know what? They're 3 seconds in front of me. Let him race. Let him burn up the tires. Even though right now, I mean, James Lowe is still outpacing everyone behind him, though.
70 to go, and Mike Allen meanwhile, has had the opposite of being able to drive calm. He's been under attack just about every single moment this race, it seems. He's now under attack from Maltese on the bottom and Steven Spies, who quietly is your biggest mover now, up 8 positions.
How about Spies? And he's looking for position number 9 here. He just needs to pick the correct lane. At this point, though, you just have to be patient. You hate being in this position. Oh, don't do that, though. That was a little scary. Luckily, Mike Allen able to keep it out of the wall, but hey, that's all the 55 needed. Hey, one more spot.
And another hit to the door for Mike Allen. Mike Allen just not having luck go his way, it seems, when it comes to bumping and banging, as Altis clipped the apron.
Man, kept it off the wall. That is a very good move there for the 59. Falling back to 57th, though. He's kind of looking more like a street stock at this point, maybe. Kind of got the hood flying up, the rear bumper a little weird. So, yeah, that's a little tough.
Meanwhile, James Lowe is saying hello to Kurt Smith. This is for 3rd position, as they now fight for the race lead in front. Yes, it is now side by side for 1st and side by side for 3rd. Liston wants the lead for the first time in months and nearly spins it.
Clipped the apron, did a great job saving it. I'm even more impressed that he really didn't lose that much time, so he will reset his sights. Look at him rip that wheel to the right. He's trying to diamond the exit that corner off best he can. Drives it deep into turn number 1, even a little bit sideways in the center of the corner. Liston door to door again for the lead.
Liston really trying to fight hard for that race lead. They have about a 1 second gap between them and James Lowe for reference. Liston nearly spins it again, able to save it again as he now recorrects. And now I think Liston's trying to change things up here because this is not working. Lowe is now the quickest car on the track by 2/10.
Yeah, Liston's going to have to whee it back a little bit because he is abusing those tires. But like I said, we don't see a lot of lead changes. If you have the opportunity, you need to take it, and that's a little bit much.
And now Todd Liston has destroyed the right side of his car. He has slammed the wall as the caution comes out.
The Gala barrel rolling down the straightaway.
And Joe Segal, remember what he used a faster pair. That was with contact with Mike Allen. Let's take a look. Wow.
This is why I don't race with a VR. So we'll see what happens here, because this is, I think that Allen was just a little bit off the wall. Segala thinks that he's going to be higher up the track, and that's the end of the day for the 81 with that brand new paint scheme.
Take a look one more time, and yeah. You have to think that he thought Allen was at least a bit higher up the racetrack, possibly.
That's what I would think, because when you're that inside driver, I'm someone who doesn't run with 3 monitors. I just have the one, so unless I'm clicking my look right button, I'm just kind of expecting the guy on top to be in that primary lane. But when you are on 40 lap old tires, they've went about 33 laps straight green. So you get a little bit loose off the corner, and the guy on the outside doesn't necessarily go all the way up to the wall. It's not his fault if the car's a little bit loose on exit, but sometimes that's just what happens when you're sim racing and you don't really have that sensation of understanding where the car next to you is.
Again, 60 to go this time by, and the interesting thing is going to be how Liston's car is going to drive, because you can already see he's going a bit back and forth trying to tell how this thing's going to handle suspension-wise, since, well, Liston four-wheel drifted it and demolished his suspension possibly with the right side.
That's the concern. It looked like his steering wheel was straight enough. I think he'll be okay. This is a good opportunity for him to cool his tires down. I don't know if this caution came at the worst possible time, because now he's able to kind of regroup. You don't like having James Lowe to your inside here, the next row back on this restart, but if you had to have a caution somewhere, it's probably now, so you can cool down those tires so you're not abusing them any more than you already were.
By the way, no faster pairs for anybody in the field, mind you. And boy, oh boy, were there some damaged cars from before that incident, keep in mind as well, who didn't use that faster pair. Guess who is also still running, though? Joe Segala is still running in 13th position.
We have some jacked up race cars tonight. That wheel is also straight though. He hit the wall head on. So long as that car doesn't overheat, I think he's gonna be okay.
We'll see how it drives. I mean, it's happened in real life before.
Yeah.
Lights now off. As to reset, it's Jason Menda in the race lead approaching halfway. Todd Liston in second. James Lowe from 13th up to third. Kurt Smith in fourth. Altice and Spees. Pearson and Donnie Moore rounds out the inversion spots with the new number font for his number 26. Hardin and Herzog round out the top 10. Mike Allen has fallen back to 11th spot after being as high as the top 3. Austin Belkey's been quietly running in 12th. Segala, Seneca, Lowell Jewell are the 15 drivers still running out of the 15. Green flags out, off and away we go. Great launch by Menda. Good launch by Lowe. Liston already locks himself into second spot.
If you're Liston, that couldn't have went much better. Still on the rear bumper of the 45. James Lowe stuck behind you. Liston can almost just go back to what he was doing before the caution. Trying to get to the inside here on exit. Able to get to the quarter panel. He will have a little bit of room here on the 45 of Jason Menda.
He still wants that race lead and bad. Nearly spins it again on the dip out of turn 2. Hard on the brakes again as he gets loose. Liston corrects it, able to save it. Here comes James Lowe as he watches the drift.
Hard on the brakes indeed. Now under attack from James Lowe in the red number 99. Lowe with 8 career wins in the Grand National Series, second most all time. I don't know if Liston has any right rear left in it. He was using up those tires, and now the concern isn't even the right front. It's just how much he lit up that right rear throughout those few runs that he made on Jason Menda.
Of note, Donnie Moore from the top 8 had technical issues, is now pulled back to 15th position, rest of the field, looking to stay calm for the time being. Question is for how long with 53 laps to go, especially with the lead now down to under 0.3 of a second.
15 cars began tonight's race at Nashville Fairgrounds. Only one of them has won in the past in BRL Grand National Series history. And James Lowe is just patiently waiting here to take this lead away from Menda. Lowe won this race last season based off of patience, and now he has a chance to do it again as the only former winner in the series on the track.
Looking for his right spots. He was a 10th quicker last time by than Jason Menda. 51 laps to go now. And it seems like Lowe is just using this opportunity to save. He is a little bit quicker on corner exits right now than the 45. Bit more rotation. Will he go for it here? No. Backs it up again.
And you can see that he exits the corner a little bit lower, and he stays lower down the straightaway. You'll see especially here coming out of turn 2. And I think that's just because he knows he has that drive off. And if he ever does get enough drive off, yeah, he'll go down and he'll try to take this position away. But right now, I don't need to.
Yeah, very content it seems like. The top 3 are grouped up together by 0.8. Keep in mind, Todd Liston still holding on to the back end of this top 2 fight. Of note, Kurt Smith has also moved his way to 4th position after an outside pass in Ruben Alti. Steven Spees is up to 5th position. Meanwhile, for the race lead, James Lowe wants it now. Just past halfway, side by side with the 45. Bit of a drift as Menda still holds on to the top line. Lowe trying to make the bottom work.
Menda does have some real-life racing experience, some bombers, some modified, some late models. He's worked as a street stock crew guy, trying to use that outside lane for everything it's got. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to match the speed of James Lowe.
Still side by side for the race lead. Lowe still looking to clear on by Menda. Now he drifts. Whoa. That opens up the door for Lowe into 3. Can Lowe get himself clear in the corner? Menda holds on to the corner panel on the outside. Still side by side as Menda leads it still at the stripe. 46 to go. As now Lowe sends it hard and gets himself clear.
Menda pushed in the center of the corner, still has that run off the turn 2 though, still has a little bit of room. This is the most that I think I've seen anyone on the outside be able to fight back. Menda will not go away silently, still door to door down the front straight.
Just keeping the edge of that quarter panel for now off the corner exits. This is what in part makes it so difficult to pass here. Lowe still can't get fully clear, gives space to Menda. Lowe now gets loose off the corner as Menda gives the squeeze. Both have to feather the throttle with 44 to go.
Remarkable racing here from James Lowe and Jason Menda. A great view on top of the roof. You can see him just kind of clench onto that right rear quarter panel. The last grasp that he possibly has to keep James Lowe at bay. Again, off of turn number 4, has a little bit of room. Man, you could just go out and, if you're in the driver's seat, touch that 99 car next to you. Remarkable racing as Lowe pushes in the center of the corner. Menda might have a chance to take the lead back.
Near door-to-door contact as Menda got loose off the corner and Lowe pushed up. Menda now gets himself back clear, and once again they reset. 42 to go. What a battle so far. These two are also the quickest drivers on the racetrack as Menda now goes on the defense.
Menda, what remarkable talent there to keep James Lowe at bay from the outside, something that we haven't seen all night long, and once again gets a mere full of the 99. Lowe will wait again though and attack again. 41 laps to go here at Nashville.
One of the best battles so far ends with a caution, and it's Todd Liston. And apologies over the radio coming forward as Liston got some help from Steven Spies, who got loose into the corner.
Spies just can't keep it on the bottom and tags the quarter panel of the 87. Such a great run going for Todd Liston. Will go on board here with Austin Belke, who makes a potential iRacing top 10 move here. Take a listen to the throttle as well.
Still pretty close either way. Wow. Austin Belke now to a race high 7th as a result of that miss. And that allows a reset for that battle for the race lead. What a fight for about 15 laps straight of near side-by-side racing and, well, door-to-door, quarter panel to fender racing around the racetrack between Menda and Lowe. This also makes things interesting if Spies can now join the fray.
Yeah, let's sprinkle a little bit of mud into this fight here. Steven Spies, we've seen him mix it up so many times in the Dirt Street Stock Series, which is also here live on GSRC on Friday nights. Much like Justin Morton, who's not here tonight, he will keep that wheel turned to the right quite a bit tonight. Unfortunately, we saw that a couple laps ago. But for Steven Spies, he will throw it in there. I think that this might be an exciting fight if Spies can maintain pace. Menda and Lowe were on a different level than everyone else that last green flag run.
Well, it helps that with all the fighting, Spies was the quickest driver over the last 10 laps, averaged a 20.059. That was about a couple 100s quicker than Lowe and Menda. So he's got the pace. It's the matter of, can he get the passes done and keep up with them being single file is going to be the major thing.
And my concern for Jason Menda, we saw his pace at the start of the race. He was not concerned about outpacing the entire field, using up that right front, had an extremely high tempo to begin this race. I'm worried that might go away. Sometimes on these ARCA machines, you just hit a lap number and boom, the right front's done, and you need to drive the car a completely different way and figure it out quick if you want to maintain speed. James Lowe and Steven Spies are somewhat comparable because of their respectable runs through the field, but I just don't know if Menda's right front can hold up with Lowe and Spies. But man, that battling Jason Menda put on a show there against James Lowe. I can't believe that he got the lead back.
He is fighting as hard as he can, to say the very least. His best race in a while. He's shown great speed Menda has in the first half of races. Give him tons of credit. He's doing a great job to hold on to the pace the second half of the race tonight. The best test I've seen him do so far, Devin.
The Floridian Jason Menda trying to become the 6th different winner in Grand National Series history. Gotta get another good launch here, though. Gonna go green with about 35 to go.
The iRacing pace car is off field in the hands of the 45. Green flag is out, and a great launch from Menda. Low, though, nearly keeps it side by side all the way to the back bumper of the race leader, in fact. Spees trying to clear by Kurt Smith, just about does. Low nearly makes contact with Spees trying to get to the bottom underneath Menda.
Great drive off the quarter for James Lowe, once again on the attack, using that inside lane, using all the tire that he can. Off of turn 4 to the line. The 99 will lead that lap. Menda, can he put up another spectacular fight on the outside lane?
Lowe trying to take advantage of the launches that we've seen from that bottom line in the first few laps. Menda trying to hold on to the quarter panel once more. Lowe gets himself clear. James Lowe to the point. Here comes Menda to the bottom. Menda can't get it fully sent. Lowe able to defend as now James Lowe runs away.
Steven Spees clears Kurt Smith for 3rd. Now Spees looks to have the 45 on the lock-on target. He wants to see some Haviline on the right side of him, and eventually behind him is James Lowe starting to run away from the pack now. The 99 really sent it on the bottom lane to rip it around the inside, and now he's showing off some of the speed that car still has remaining.
James Lowe setting some of the fastest laps of the entire race in the 19.5s at the moment. Spees still can't get to that inside line, though, coming up to 30 to go this time. Spees right now along with Menda, 0.2 of a second slower than Lowe. Here comes Spees, though, wanting to take away second, looking for another strong run. We've seen some great runs from the 55 in his career in this series. They both drift off the corner.
That was a little tight there, and I think that Menda's lack of tire is starting to show. I think a new face might show himself here, though, in these closing laps. Austin Belke has moved into the 5th position. He ran essentially the first half of the race outside the top 10. Has he been saving tires this entire race? If so, could he have a burst of speed here to finish off this race?
Is there going to be enough time as well, though? That's the major thing. Especially since, keep in mind, Austin Belke, we talked about this, one of the drivers who has worked with J.R. Shepard over the closing stages with his organization. It was talked about last round in the closing round of last season. Still, though, he's in 5th position, up +5. Menda still trying to hold on to 2nd. They have lost 1.3 seconds to James Lowe in this fight.
James Lowe has just absolutely taken launch on the field. But going back to Austin Belkin, if he has enough time, just like we saw last restart, Justin, it only takes one caution. Herzog is another guy who's been laying back around the 10th position all race long. He's now in 4th. Could he be another guy to throw his name in the hat, mix things up here in the closing laps?
He can also throw hats in the air as well.
Correct. This is correct. I can't confirm.
Yes, you can write names on hats.
Yes,
as
that's also
Herzog
true.
throws his car into the wall.
No, he should have threw the In-N-Out Burger hat instead.
Still able to keep into 4th position at the moment, though. Still able to keep the momentum up as Spees now trying to take a peek for 2nd.
Jason Menda has been able to fight on the outside like no one else in this race. Speeds even had a pretty good entry and couldn't even keep to the quarter panel of Jason Menda. Really impressed with this 45 car here tonight. Been a very incredible race for him so far. He has been having the race of the year for him so far in this series. Speeds trying every different line he can still. Approaching 23 laps to go. Keep in mind that Austin Belke, we've seen him moments ago, is slowly reeling in these 3 drivers that are bumper to bumper to bumper, bit by bit right now. We still have more than 20 laps to go in this race. Anything can change. The one constant that I see continuing, though, is James Lowe. The lead is nearly up to 2 seconds. This is a blistering pace that I don't know, even if someone does have right front tire remaining, can get up to P2 and run this guy down without a caution.
Here's the thing. The modified race we were talking about before, the late race caution we were referring to, Devin, he was leading by more than 3 seconds over his competitors in that event. Late race caution changed that, of course, and changed the running order for how the top 5 were structured, but Lowe was the constant in his speed in the modified here.
Looking to do it again. That 45 car has changed residency about a lane up the track. Everyone kind of moving up there with that tire wear. Steven Speeds, though, still with a good burst of speed. I just don't know how many cars can really run that inside lane, having to dive in earlier. That time pushing up the 45, the track. B's got a little bit loose, able to contain it, but it's going to have to start from scratch once more.
Menda really starting to struggle to hold on in this fight for second position. 18 laps to go this time by. Speed still trying to set up the diamond to get the run underneath the 45 again. Still can't get there quite yet. Mababa though for Menda off the corner as that sets up the fender once more and again. Speeds to the bottom, but that bottom just seems to be almost too hot at this point, especially with the bumps to be able to grip up.
Yeah, and I think that he can tell that he needs to get on the gas sooner to carry that momentum down the straightaway. The 55 gets wicked sideways and into the wall.
Caution flag is out at Steven Speeds with a crushed in front end, and could see that potentially coming with how slick this track got for some in practice and how this bottom line was starting to really slip up. You see right here, just loses it.
And I think that might even be a case of just trying to get on the gas to outpace Menda down the straightaway. I think that's what he was doing on the inside lane that would lose him his time, and those rear tires just spin and spin and spin and start to whip around the rear end of the car. That time there, it was a fatal spin for the number 55 machine. That sends him back to the 10th position and out of the running for a top 5 tonight. He's only going to have about 10 more laps trying to make his way back through the field. My question, though, coming up here, Justin, is the second row of Mark Herzog and Austin Belke. 2 guys who we didn't talk at all about because they were running in the back. Was that just tire conservation? I'm really curious if they can have the pace to keep up with James Lowe, because he was light years beyond anyone else in this field that last green flag run.
I'm very curious of that as well, because Belke seemed to be running very consistent lap times, but also calm lap times, and Mark Herzog almost looked like he was waiting for the fight to open up a door to then jump through the hole for himself to be able to have the shot. But here's the tough part. They still have to get by Jason Menda, be able to get to James Lowe, obviously.
Boy, that 45 Havoline car is looking like a number 6, whatever Ryan Newman's sponsor is this week car, because no one can get around Jason Menda so far tonight except for James Lowe after 25 laps of trying or so. Menda has been so impressive tonight. I would love to have him up here on the broadcast post-race, but he's going to have to hold off Herzog and Belke to do that. And something as an iRacer that I've been working on now, I've learned how to save tires for the most part. What I've had difficulties with on iRacing is when it's time to use those tires. You save the tire for a reason, right, Justin? Well, this is the time. You just have to go all out these next, let's say we're going to bring with about 11, 12 to go. Whatever tire you have left, it's for this moment right here.
Absolutely. Lights are still on, by the way, on the pace car. And keep in mind that there is that saying that I think you're trying to emphasize, and one driver said this themselves today. You need to be able to, if you're saving tires, eventually you have to use them. And I think that's exactly what you're referring to indeed there. By the way, plus 12 for Lowe, plus 11 for Herzog to reset those marks, plus 7 for Hardin. The inversion battle we haven't talked too much about. Bruce Pearson's probably been in that spot for much of this entire race. He's in 8th position right now. That is provisional pole for next race at Oxford Plains after Easter.
And let's go back to Jeffrey Hardin. I hadn't even thought about that, how the 44 is now in the 5th position. Californian up through the field as well. Good run here for Jeffrey Hardin.
Especially after some of the troubles early on in this race and some of the struggles here and there, but now has quietly become a +7 in the race. 11 to go in the opening race. BRL's Grand National Series season. Lowe and Menda on the front row. Herzog and Belke in row 2. Hardin and Smith in row 3. Green flag is out. 11 to go.
Good launch for Herzog in the In-N-Out Burger, number 57, putting the fight up with Jason Menda, nearly banging doors off of turn number 2. And with this going on, it's allowing the 99 to fly away from these guys. Belke's trying to use that outside lane, hoping to follow Menda. The 45 can clear, but Herzog not going away.
Menda is not wanting to give up second spot. That's for clear signs at the moment as Herzog gets loose. Has 10 laps to go, coming up to 9 to go. Menda though goes up the hill, trying to get himself clear. Herzog now spins it. Around goes the 57 into the inside wall, and we're back under caution as they crash into turn 1. The boss man Lil Jewel crashes right across the nose of Ruben Altis as they tried to dodge Mark Herzog's car.
That was a wicked accordion effect there. Extremely unfortunate for some of the drivers fighting for that invert spot for the provisional pole for next week. Boy, no one wants to be to the inside of Menda tonight, and it's to no fault of Menda's own. It's just with how slick it is down there on such old and such warm tires, it's just hard to keep that. And I think everyone has understood that in order to pass Jason Menda, you have to have the corner exit speed, which you're not getting. So I think these drivers are just getting on the gas a little bit early to try to make up for that. And it's just not working. It's not sticking. You know, watch the 19. Altis had an issue. They go 3 wide here. The 57 comes up the track, and they were still 3 wide. And I think that's where the issue really happened. Typically, the accordion effect goes like, if you're looking at the track, it goes horizontally. This accordion effect went vertically.
Yeah, they were 3 wide in the first place. Then, yeah, I'm almost wondering if they thought they were, well, at least one of them may have hit or may have had the shot of hitting Herzog there after this. Similar incident to what happened to Steven Spies on the last caution flag.
And I think they're both just trying to get on the gas, try to get that run off the corner. And it's just not there. The rear tires cannot grip that bottom line well enough. And it's just proved disastrous for Steven Spies and Mark Herzog, who goes and takes his fast repair. And now we are going to have one heck of a final push. With how much faster James Lowe is than Jason Menda, and I think that's in part because of just the tires that Menda has blistered off his car. If you want a shot at James Lowe, you have to get by Menda by the time you get out of turn 2. Otherwise, that 99 is going to be way gone.
By the way, the next flag would end the race from this point forward. James Lowe looking to secure another victory in this series. This one would be a big one to start off the season after some of the battles he's been. Austin Belke, one of the top drives of the race. Jeffrey Hardin, you mentioned him before, by the way. How about now a chance for a top 3 for Hardin?
That was fantastic for Jeffrey Hardin. He'll have a chance here in that outside lane. Maybe if there's an issue for Belke, he could end up on the podium here tonight. That'd be a great run for the number 44 machine, a maintenance tech at Bolt House Farms. Former BMX racer as a kid, kind of a different lifestyle now as an adult, but hey, looking to set back on a virtual podium here tonight in the Grand National Series.
Coming up to 4 to go. Hardin fan club going to be very excited to see that 44 up towards the front. Some of the struggles that it's had in this series in the past. But with 1 to go signal now this time by, Hardin will start 4th. In 3rd, Austin Belke. In 2nd, Jason Menda. And in 1st, James Lowe. Looking to go 2 for 3 on the night. And BRL competition to start off the brand new slate of races for Saturday nights for BRL competition. Who will take home the checker flag? We're about to find out. Your version spot battle, by the way. Spies is up to 8th position. Battling with Ruben Altis. Todd Liston is also recovered to 9th. 3 to go. Green flag's out. Another great launch from James Lowe.
Belke gets a fair launch, but really can't attach himself to the left rear quarter panel of Menda, who will slam the door shut on him. 2 to go this time. I don't think anyone has anything for the number 99 machine.
And just trying to close in, though. A lot of shuffling around those inversion spots as well. Bruce Pearson, Ruben Altis, and several others trying to battle. As the caution is out, the race is over. Spies and Liston collide, and we're under caution.
That will bring us to the end. An incident on the front straightaway. I think one of them might have gotten a little bit loose and collected a few other cars there. But that's how this race will end. How about James Lowe, the only former winner in the field of 15 cars, picks up his 9th Grand National Series victory.
The reason for the caution, by the way, Liston and Spies collided down the front straightaway at the start and finish line. But for James Lowe, it's been a strong night. Had some struggles in the street stock race. Dominated the modified race, leading all but 14 laps. And gets a celebratory bump from behind as he wins in the Grand National Series. Jason Menda second, Belke in third, Smith and Hardin your top 5, and an eventful end to this one.
And how about for the provisional poll next week? Joe Segala goes barrel rolling at Nashville. He'll be able to start on pole next week.
What a job by him to be able to go from being upside down several times over to having the chance to start the field over at Oxford Plains after the Easter holiday. Some of these drivers did some spectacular drives, to say the very least, to be able to get their cars to the finish line. But for James Lowe, he gets his car to celebration time. Post-race coverage coming up in just a few moments. And as James Lowe burns it on down, you're watching the Global SimRacing Channel from the virtual Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, the opening race of the BRL's Grand National Series. Welcome back to the Global SimRacing Channel's coverage of the BRL's Grand National Series, the virtual Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, for post-race coverage after what was an exciting race between James Lowe and Jason Menda for the battle for the race win. It was Lowe who won the battle, though, beating Menda by 0.4 of a second under caution to close things out. Austin Belke rounded out your podium tonight. We'll be speaking with those drivers in just a few moments. Kurt Smith, Jeffrey Hart, and Bruce Pearson, Ruben Altis, and Joe Sagawa rounded out the inversion spots. Joe Sagawa, of note, went upside down several times and was still able to come away with the position he started in. Mike Allen recovered tonight after several incidents, with Ryan Seneca quietly finishing in 10th spot, Devin.
Some funky-looking, street-stock-looking cars here in the back. Mark Herzog, Todd Liston, and Steven Spees, all unfortunate endings for them. Lil Jewel also, he'll finish in 14th. And Donnie Moore with connection issues rounds out your 15-car field here at Nashville.
That's a look top to bottom at your running order for tonight's racing action here from Nashville. But it's James Lowe who gets to celebrate. James, first things first, new season, and you start off by being the first winner of the campaign. How does it feel?
Yeah, I mean, it always feels good to win in this league. There's a bunch of tough competition. It's not easy to win these things, and when you can get one, you got to cherish it.
Talk us through that battle with Jason Menda, because that took at least 15, 20 laps to get the job done.
Man, I was sweating. It was tough, but shout out to him. We raced each other extremely clean there, and eventually I think in that one restart, I was able to get a really good run off too, and got farther up beside him than I had been, and I think that was the difference maker.
Next race goes to Oxford Plains. Your thoughts on going to that track, a very different track compared to some of the others seen on the calendar.
I like Oxford Plains, actually. I've had decent luck there, but it's just different, and it's fun to race on different stuff. So it'll be fun, and hopefully we can make it through the pack there and see if we can get us another one. Anyone you want to thank for the run tonight? Yeah, I think my team Balls Out Racing, Cottonwood Liquors for being on board, you guys for broadcasting, and Lowell for putting on a great league. And also congrats to Jason and congrats to Belke. They ran great races tonight.
Congratulations on the win tonight, James.
Appreciate it.
James Lowe, your winner in Nashville after what was an incredible fight. Jason Menda put on an incredible fight for the lead as well as to hold on to second. He's standing by with Devin Henry.
Jason Menda bringing it home in P2 tonight, putting on a show. You held back James Lowe for a multitude of laps. You held back everyone else in the field. What was working for you in that high line tonight?
I don't know. It was just working. I knew the inside was really loose coming off out of the turn, so I just stayed high and made him pass me on the inside.
Well, congratulations on the second place finish for the season opener. What does this do for you to have the second place finish to open up a brand new season? I know last season just finished last week, but when you get to start off a season like this, it's kind of helpful, right?
Oh, most definitely. I can only get better from here, right? One more spot.
Hey, that's the hope. So going to Oxford Plains next week, it's a tricky track. What are your expectations when we head over there?
Keep the fenders on it, I think. That's a rough track, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a goal for a lot of guys out there. Jason, congrats on the second place finish. Who do you have to thank for coming up here and landing on the podium at Nashville?
I just want to thank Lowell for putting on the best league out there and everybody that races in it, and you guys for putting on a good show.
Jason Menda, thank you for your service as a firefighter in your community, and congratulations on a second place finish here tonight in the Grand National Series at Nashville.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Jason Menda, P2. Now let's give it back to Justin Prince. He's caught up with Austin Belke.
Yes, indeed, in Austin. Another top 3 finish tonight, and this one you had to work for. Talk us through your night as you had to claw your way into third position here.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty good description of it. We just got involved in an early race wreck. I think Lowell got spun out by, James, but we were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I figured my night was just trashed. I didn't know how bad the front end was, but it didn't feel terrible. So at that point, I just tried to see how far up the field I could go. But I wanted to make sure I took really good care of my tires for later in the race because I figured we would get at least 1 or 2 more cautions.
Yeah, that front end was crushed in indeed on that machine to the point where it wasn't sealed up to the ground, should be worth noting. But how difficult is this racetrack? Because you're on the bottom part of the practice pylon, yes, but it seemed like you got better and better as the race went on.
Well, I don't like to divulge my secrets, but I guess I'm not a magician by trade. So when we go out and practice, I never try to put down hot laps anymore. I used to, like the beginning half of the last season, I go out and I put down a fast lap just to see where I would stack up. But anymore, I just go out and run race pace and see where that gets me tire-wise. Where I'm comfortable versus, how many people am I passing or getting passed by in practice, because you can just put on a new set of Goodyear Eagles and go out there, set a blazing lap. But, you're only going to have good tires for a couple laps in the race, and if you burn up your stuff too fast, everyone's seen Days of Thunder.
Yes, indeed. I think a lot of people have, indeed, to say the very least. But on that note, Oxford Plains is next. Your thoughts on that track?
Well, I was talking to Kenny about it a couple different times. He told me he wasn't too fond of it. I can't remember the last time I raced there, so I'm just hoping we can go there and get another solid finish.
Anyone you want to thank for the run tonight?
Oh yeah, definitely. JR, he taught me a lot of what to do here. I got to follow him and see what he was doing last night in the super late model race we had. Nashville, I feel like was one of my best tracks, so he really helped out with that. The team, Different Path Motorsports, really nice to have that technical alliance there. My parents, the good Lord, Lowell for putting this whole thing on, and you guys for doing such fantastic broadcasts.
Congratulations on the podium tonight, Austin.
Thank you, sir.
Austin Belke coming away with the third place finish tonight. And on that note, your thoughts, Devin, after what was an eventful night, to say the very least?
Yeah, eventful it certainly was. This brought a show here to open up a brand new season for the Bootleg Racing League Grand National Series. Season number 6, we moved to Oxford Plains. I do remember, I run Oxford very often in the hosted sessions for some very fun demolition derbies and multi-class racing. Hopefully we don't see those two things come together when we race here at Oxford Plains next week. But that's an extremely technical track. You have the inverted banking on the front and back straightaway. I am very intrigued to see some of these guys attack that track.
I'm very intrigued as well, to say the very least. It's going to be a fun race. It's going to be a wild race, potentially, as well, over at Oxford Plains. But we'd like to thank you for tuning in for tonight's exciting action for the virtual Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. We'd also like to take the time to thank James Lowe, along with Austin Belke and Jason Menda, for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage, as well as thank the Bootleg Racing League for organizing this exciting series. We'd also like to thank the companies who provide the software and hardware for our broadcast, listed now on screen. Additional thanks to Jude Luana, provides her wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team tonight, and Devin and Sean. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can check out our merchandise for sale at gsrc.storyby.com. Or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head over to YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, so you don't miss a moment on the Global Sim Racing Channel. As talked about, the next races at Oxford Plains Speedway, that'll take place on April the 10th. That is a week off, as it is Easter weekend next weekend. Be sure to tune in April 10th. Green flag set for 9:05 p.m. Coverage starts at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on screen, so be sure to check those out and mark them down your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.